Okay, so, like, everyone wants the good life, right?
Hmm.
Mansions, parties,
Yeah.
fame, the whole nine yards. We hear about celebrities living the dream, but, like, how much do we really know about what that costs?
Hmm.
Like, the real price of that fantasy.
But that's the question, isn't it? It's not always obvious, that cost.
Right. And that's what this whole deep dive is about. It actually got me thinking about Diddy, Sean Combs. He's going to be 55 this year,
Yeah.
but he's facing that birthday kind of from behind bars.
Yeah, I know.
And it's such a contrast, right?
Mm.
Because think about it. Just a few years ago, how do you celebrate his 49th?
Ah.
Parachuting onto the Playboy Mansion
Oh,
ground.
that's right. Yeah, quite the entrance. And for those who maybe aren't familiar, Diddy, he's like hugely successful, right?
Yeah.
Rapper, entrepreneur. But that birthday stunt,
Hmm.
it's almost like he was one-upping the mansion's old owner.
Totally. Hefner.
Yeah, Hefner, exactly. When it comes to like just extravagant living, right?
Mm. And speaking of Hefner, all those stories about the parties at the mansion, it's interesting because Diddy actually bought a place nearby.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, like drawn to that image, like ultimate success, pleasure, all that.
Makes you wonder.
Right. But there were always, like, whispers. Even back then,
Mm-hmm.
didn't Diddy end up hospitalized
Mm-hmm.
after one of those parties? They say it was a migraine.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Always makes you wonder, what really goes on behind closed doors.
Totally. Foreshadowing, maybe. But here's the thing. It's like both Diddy and Hefner, they weren't just living this life. They were selling an image. The parties, the women,
Yes.
the power. It
Right.
projects a certain lifestyle, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
wasn't just them having a good time. It was very calculated. They were projecting this image of desirability, influence.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's powerful stuff, especially in a world where, let's be honest, a lot of people equate success with those exact things.
100%. So you've got these two guys, both crazy wealthy, both successful in their own ways, both drawn to this image of, where you said extravagant living.
Mm-hmm.
But now one's facing these serious legal problems. The other one, his whole legacy is being re-examined
Mm.
under like a very harsh light. There's got to be more to this story, right?
Oh, absolutely. And to really get it, I think we have to, pass the glamour behind the scenes,
Yeah.
especially at that mansion.
And I mean, you can't talk about behind the scenes of the Playboy Mansion without like thinking about some of those stories that came out, right?
Mm.
And I feel like the Christina and Shannon story, the twins,
Yeah.
it's like you can't ignore it. They moved in when they were, what, 18?
Yeah, they were so young. And it's important to remember, like, Hefner, he had this persona, right? This image he cultivated so
Yeah.
carefully.
Yeah.
And it was really attractive, especially to younger people.
Oh, totally. The mansion, it was like this fast track to fame, right? Or at least that's how it looked. No more rules, just like fun all the time.
Yeah, that fantasy world.
And for two 18-year-olds, I mean,
Intoxicating.
totally intoxicated. And you've got Hefner, right? The ultimate symbol of that whole lifestyle.
Exactly. And that's where, we got to talk about grooming. It's a word we hear a lot, but
It's heavy.
it's heavy stuff. It's not just, being nice to someone. It's this whole manipulative process, right? Where someone, and usually it's someone with power, they use it. They use their influence, this image they've built, to gain trust, to control someone. And a lot of times, yeah, it's someone younger, more vulnerable.
So, like with the twins, they see Hefner, it's like this is everything they think they want, and they're, what, more susceptible? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely say that. And the story they tell about their 19th birthday there, specifically with Hefner, it's really disturbing.
What happened?
Well, they allege that they were pressured into taking these pills. They think it might have been Quaaludes and then coerced into sex acts with him.
God, that's awful. And just the age difference alone. I mean, he was in his 80s, and they were still teenagers, basically.
Exactly. It's impossible to ignore that power imbalance. And the way they describe it, feeling used, disgusted, they even use the word rape.
God.
It's just that kind of thing. It can be so damaging, especially at that age. When you're still figuring everything out.
And Carissa, right, she later said she got pregnant during that time.
Yeah.
And had an abortion.
Yeah.
And she directly linked that decision to, what she went through at the mansion.
It just shows you the consequences of this. They last way beyond any one event. It's that violation, having your trust thrown back in your face like that.
It makes you think about all the stuff that must have gone on in that mansion.
Yeah.
For years.
Mm.
And Hefner, he basically got away with it, didn't he? Because of who he was, his money, the power.
That's the big question, isn't it? And it brings us back to Diddy, right? His legal situation right now. Is this a pattern? Two guys, Tons of money, power,
Yeah.
able to do whatever they want for years.
It's like that whole culture, right?
Yeah.
Wealth, influence, especially in entertainment, it's like a free pass for some people. Hefner, he basically just, I don't know, he did what he wanted. No consequences. Even with all the accusations from women, nothing really happened.
It's true. And when you look at Diddy's case, I mean, and I know we don't want to get too into the legal weeds here, but some of those allegations about abuse, control, even setting up a whole system to keep people quiet, it's unsettling, to say the least.
It really is. It's like both of them, Hefner, Diddy, they use their power, their money, to build these worlds where, I don't know, they were untouchable.
It's that power dynamic, right? You have someone with a ton of money, the other person, they have way less. Speaking out, it's risky, it could ruin their lives, their careers.
And they don't, a lot of times.
Ah.
They don't speak out because of that.
Exactly. It's heartbreaking.
So, okay, like you said before, what if Hefner was still around? With everything that's come out, hashtag #MeToo, all of that, would things be different for him, you think?
It's hard to say, really. Hashtag Me Too, it definitely changed the conversation, right? About power, about consent. We've seen people, big people, actually be held accountable, which, I mean, a few years ago, unthinkable. But money talks, you know? Influence still protects people, even now.
Yeah, no, for sure. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the point here, right? This isn't just about one place or two guys. It's bigger than that. It's like, how does this happen over and over?
It's systemic. And as much as we love movies, music, all of that, we have to be smarter. Look closer at what's happening. Who's got the power? Who benefits from keeping things the way they are?
Totally. It's easy to get caught up in the image, the fantasy, and we miss things. Or worse, we just accept them. Because, hey, that's just how it is, right?
That's why I think this stuff, these deep dives, they matter. When we look at these stories, not just the shiny parts, the dark parts too, we learn how to see those patterns, the manipulation, the abuse. We don't fall for the act so easily.
Right. So I guess what we're saying is no matter who you are, how much money you have, you got to be held accountable. No free passes. And that whole idea of the dream life, yeah, maybe time we all take a closer look. Because sometimes that dream, it's a nightmare for someone else. That cost, that's the real price, isn't it?